The Edify Show with special guests Loretta Walsh, Christian Michael Cooper, Billy Christos Jr., and now the host of The Edify Show, Elliott Wallach.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Edify Show. We've got 3 interviews for you today. I'm going to call this one the Hat Trick Edify Show. We've got Billy Christos Jr. and Christian Michael Cooper, but I'm going to kick the first interview off with Loretta Walsh. And you'll see right away on my face how excited I am to talk to Loretta. We've interviewed her several times, and she is the nicest lady. And I just remember the very first time I met her, I want to say it was like season 2. But you know, when she's walking in for the first time, you're expecting Florence. You're expecting someone harder and more serious. And in walks this lovely, just this loving, happy, just a quick laugh. She is so fun. And then on top of it, with that amazing Australian accent. So when you see this interview, you'll see, first of all, just how excited I am. And then right away, just that stark, beautiful accent comes out. And we talk a little bit about it. Let's go ahead and take a look. You know, I've been so excited to talk to you for the longest time. You know, as we've interviewed you so many times, I have to tell you, we've interviewed a lot of people. You always win the coolest accent of the day contest every time. You know, it's funny because I asked Daniel once, I was like, man, you have this awesome Australian accent. So you go back to Australia, do you ever do the American accent just to be cool? And he's like, hate to tell you, mate, nobody cares about the American accent. So I guess they don't get it. Doesn't sound I don't sound as cool to you as you do to me. That's unfortunate.
Well, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. But, you know I must admit that my husband, he will always be like, I can tell that you're talking to your family because my Australian accent comes out so thick.
Really?
You know, when I'm talking to my people, right?
It just amps up.
Yeah, it really does. And when I go back, and then it's just becomes very, very thick Australian. But I get so used to playing an American or Canadian in Canada. So I've been here for such a long time now, like over 20 years. And I think sometimes I have a little bit of a mishmash of an accent because I started doing that because I got so frustrated when I first moved to Canada that not everybody could understand what I was saying. And I had to repeat myself so many times. So I would just use the American pronunciation to save time. And sometimes I even do it with my husband. Like he'll say the Australian pronunciation of something and I'll say the Canadian pronunciation of something. And it's almost like our love language, right? Like I'm trying to meet you halfway. Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, is he Australian?
He's not. He's Canadian.
Wow. So you've still got him trained a little bit to use the Australian version of the...
Not really. Not at all. Wow. No. He thinks it's kind of funny to put it on.
So I find it very impressive. I mean, that you can step in and go, okay, I'm going to be an American today. I'm going to sound, no one at any grocery store would ever doubt it. And then you can do that. And so I know you taught acting. Is that any area that you've actually taught? Like, have you taught people?
No, I haven't taught dialect or accents. And when I first moved to Canada, I felt quite insecure. And I thought, oh my goodness, everybody's going to see that I'm a fraud and that I don't belong here, right? And And my husband actually gave me good advice. He said, just at the time, like Friends was really big, right? He was like, just watch Friends and just try and sound like them, you know, or just watch the news and just try to sound like them. And so I would just try and imitate. And then I would take it for a ride. So I would go and get coffee or take a taxi or whatever and just be like, I'll see if I can do it American and see if I can get away without somebody saying, where are you from? So I kind of trained myself to do it. And then obviously along the way, as I started to work more, I worked with, you know, people who really specialize in accents.
Wow. Yeah. So when were you acting in Australia?
I was.
So clearly not a fraud, right? So you're successful.
Thank you. But don't we all feel that way?
Oh no, totally. You should hear my inner voice right now.
Yeah, everybody has a thing, you know? Like, I just think it's a part of being human.
Oh yeah, totally.
But it made me really determined to be like, okay, if I'm going to live here, if I'm going to really try and have a career here, I'm going to have to convince people that I'm not me. I'm this character.
Right.
And that was like, okay, it's going to be work, but it feels great. With that said, I would love to play an Australian.
Okay.
I would just love it.
Right.
To play a character that was in my own accent.
Right.
I think it would be a hoot.
I'm thinking Florence's lost twin sister.
I
taken at
know.
birth.
Wouldn't that be so funny?
That would be at least a dream sequence.
That was
I think
so
that would be
funny.
fun.
Yeah. We had a showrunner who said that to me one time. He said, "You're so different. Like, you start talking with this accent and you're a completely different person than Florence. I just feel like, what if we, introduced another character, but it was you?
Right.
It was completely different, with your Aussie accent." I'm like, oh, I would love it.
It's so funny. I can so relate because I remember when you came in the first time, it was like if you could see the clouds, like I wasn't even ready for it, and then also I was like, whoa, that was interesting. To me, honestly, at the time, I thought, wow, she's really an amazing actress because, you know what I'm saying? I mean, because you went from that to that, like right before my eyes, even though it was sort of like back to the normal. So when you walk me through when you came out, you were an actress, and then when did you start teaching? Like, how did that evolve?
So when I used to live in Toronto, which is where my husband is from. So we met in Australia. I had been to acting school there, was doing a lot of plays, little bits on TV, and moved to Toronto in 2001, and we lived there for 6 years, and then we moved out to Vancouver. I did do some teaching in Toronto, but I was teaching little kids, and I had all of the energy in the world for it.
Right,
and
right,
so
right.
It was really challenging, but really fun. And so I had some teaching experience, but when I moved to Vancouver, I found an acting studio. And I started going there as an actor, as a student. And the studio really works with professional actors or actors who want to be professionals. And through that process, I really found a mentor there. His name is Ben Emmanuel. And something just sort of clicked. I think teachers are really special and incredible people, and they really, really count. And if you find a teacher who speaks your language or who is able to get through to you and make you learn something that maybe you weren't ready to learn before, or maybe you just needed it taught to you in a different way, I felt like the lights just went on. And I was like, wow, I got it. This is great. And I worked extensively as a student at that studio. And then I was working with another actor one time. And my teacher and mentor came to me after the class one day and said, "Listen, can I talk to you? I just want to ask you what you guys are working on outside of class and what you said to her." And I told him, because she was a fellow Australian.
Oh.
I was like, "Listen, we're doing this play, which is an American play. This is how we're going to do it. And these characters are very different, and it feels kind of very different because it's different from Australians in this way." And so I just sort of started explaining to him how I was just, I guess I was just sort of at a point in my life and in my career where I was take no prisoners. I was like, we are doing this. We are not going to settle for anything less than the best we can do. And he just said, "I think you're a teacher."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I have done a bit of teaching before. And he said, "Listen, I'm looking for another teacher to teach here. And I know you and I know your work, and I think that you can help people."
And then you just did it.
Yeah. And so he trained me to do it. And, we continue to collaborate to this day. And it's really joyful, really, really joyful work.
And how long ago was that?
That was, oh my goodness, a decade ago. Yeah.
Wow. How cool to think back on that moment and have him believe in you and then have him be so right.
Yeah.
Because some of your students, you've worked with a lot of them. Yeah. You, or a fair amount. Can you name any?
It's so thrilling.
Yeah.
It's so thrilling when someone comes onto set and it's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you." Amanda Wong. Yeah. Eva Bourne,
right,
who used to be on the show.
Love. Yeah.
She was also a student. So it's really, I love this art form, and I love the craft of acting. And I just think that, without sort of waxing too lyrical, right? Because we're obviously not curing cancer over here.
Well, but cheering the people up that are, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Right. I think that, telling stories is an avenue for connection, for human connection.
Totally.
And actors are really, that's the deal, is they get to connect not only with other actors, but with their audience too.
Yeah.
And so, we may not be, again, solving the climate crisis or something, but I think that it is really valuable, and I just love actors in general. I just think that they're usually very open-hearted, fun, playful, collaborative people, and so I love to hang with that kind of energy.
Totally.
Yeah.
I thought about that with the teaching kids how to act. It almost felt like teaching kids how to like candy or something, like, because they're so naturally want to pretend, and sometimes I almost think like teaching the adults how to remember how it is to be a kid.
Totally.
But that'd be it. Well, I think to further what you do, I think movies, I think television, it's the most powerful art form. Like, you can read a book, you can see a painting, but you don't forget your very existence.
Right.
Where you see that movie, there are people out there motivated to literally change their lives because of something Florence did. I have
been changed by it.
Right.
I really, I run a small independent theater company, and I love live theater, and I'm very passionate about it. But I've been to see live performances that I've walked out of and gone, oh my goodness, I feel different.
Right.
Like, oh my goodness. I've had moments, watching plays that, I remember the moment where I was like, okay, I gotta have a baby, because of something that I had seen and felt in front of me, right? Like, I really think that it can be such an avenue for connection and change, personally and socially.
Totally agree. I think it's what's so important about, like, you can inspire somebody to live such a much better life, or a different entertainment, worse life.
Yeah.
And it's why working on something like Wind Calls the Heart, I think it's such an important thing to encourage. Imagine if the whole world was Hope Valley.
I know.
Yeah.
It's such a nice place to be, isn't it? Because it is a very kind place. It's a very community-based place. You can make mistakes in Hope Valley and people still love you and forgive you. You can learn and you support each other. And I think we all want to live in a world like that.
Time flies in Hope Valley. Think about this. Loretta was on episode 1, season 1. Not wild. I mean, but the next interview is with Billy Christos Jr., who plays Toby on the show, who came on just 2 years ago. It feels like a lot more than that. We can't have Hope Valley without Toby. But Billy does a great job playing Toby, and we have a great conversation with him about how it all began for him. Let's take a look. So tell me about because I think you've got, like, you're going to be a 7th grader?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. I think you've got, like, the coolest gig ever, like, to come and pretend and get paid for it and everything else, and wear outfits and go to Crafty and all that.
I get to pretend to be a guy in old times, and I get food.
Guy in old times, and then you get food, swimming in the hot springs and all that stuff. I know Jada said those hot springs, like, because you're wearing those old-timey suits, that it was actually a lot hotter than people would think.
It was really, like, warm, and it felt good to be inside.
You liked it?
Yeah, it was like a hot tub.
You like the hot tub? Because it's, like, hot enough. I don't think people know how hot it is here in Hope Valley. I mean, they call it Hot Hope Valley or Hot Valley or something like that, Yeah, so tell me, when you first came to the set, speaking of that, when you came to Jamestown, what did you think? Because I know you've been an actor, right? I mean, this wasn't your first job, right? So when you came here, had you ever seen anything like this, where it's like this whole town?
The only thing that I could say would be close was I did something for the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and it was a big house. Like, they had a big box, which made it seem like nighttime because there was, like, barely any lights, and they built a house inside the box.
Really?
Yeah, and I went up to the front door, and that's, like, the only thing that I could barely compare, because this is, like, a real town, because there's always people walking through it, actors or not actors. It's just interesting. It was interesting for me to see, like, all the people and how it functions.
That is so. And you go to, like, a regular school, right?
Yeah.
And then when you're here, you'll get, like, tutored or whatever.
For if it's 4 days in a row that I'm on set, then it's tutoring.
So I'm just picturing this, because you got, like, that week, and everybody's like, oh man, that test and everything else, and they're like, where'd you go? And you're like, oh, I was out there. I was inside of this house, inside of a box,
Yeah.
or I was riding horses, or, I mean, your friends, do people hate you at school? I mean, what do they must be like? This is because they're jealous, man. I feel jealous. It's got to be just like, wow, you must be like the luckiest guy in the world. What do your friends think?
They're, I guess, they're fine with it. I don't know. They don't hate
I'll bet
me.
you, I don't bet you they don't. I kid, of course, but I'll bet you they want you to tell them stories. I'll bet you they're like, what was it like?
I have told stories. Yeah. On set, they actually released a tiger and I fought it. That's how I got this scar.
So you embellish a little bit. Yeah. There's been a lot of, so I guess we've got a little hint about something coming up for season 11. There's going to be tigers in season 11. You've heard it here first, Yeah, I can't wait to see how they're going to spin that. That's going to be dangerous for Nathan.
Not tigers.
Oh man, this is disappointing. You had me all excited.
I'm sorry to break the news.
Does anybody get bit by anything radioactive, like a radioactive Mountie or anything like that, getting some superpowers?
No.
Okay, I was hoping it might be a Marvel influence. This is one of those cool things.
Captain America shows up. He's just
wow,
wearing
I didn't see that coming
suspenders.
either.
No.
No Captain America. Dude, you're messing with
wish.
my head.
I wish.
Yeah, that would be fun. So what kind of movie would you like? I would love to play in this movie, or this would be your kind of thing.
I really want to be in a horror movie.
Really? You like that kind of
Yes.
stuff? Like scary stuff?
Yeah, maybe you know what? I wouldn't even mind if I was just someone in the background. I want to see how that would work.
Just how it works. I bet you it's a lot less scary, right?
Yeah, well, when
You
you're
know.
there and you see all the lights and stuff.
Yeah,
And you see the guy like flipping on and off the light switch.
Right.
It's like
Right. I think the movie business, in a way, it's, to me, and tell me if you agree with this, but I think there's two kinds of people. People come to the movie set and they're like, man, this is the coolest thing ever. I want to be part of this. It's like the circus. Like, I want to join the circus. And then other people are like, you just saw this 35 times in a row from different directions. You people are the most boring people. I mean, the food's good, but you people are the most boring people. Like, when you came here, were you like, you had to be in category 1. You had to be like, I was because I'm that way too.
Yeah, I was like absolutely flabbergasted about how big it was.
Right.
Because there's like entire buildings set for this. I thought maybe it was like green screen. No, it's all like built in buildings.
Right.
It's amazing.
Like, you go in the library and there's a library. You come in here, we're in the judge's office. No judge, but it's the office, right?
It's not,
yeah, Abigail's Cafe and all that. It is a absolute total trip, I would think. Now, have you been recognized yet? I mean, I know that the show just kind of is starting.
Like, not from this show, but I think I have been recognized from other things, like small things.
Right.
Yeah, but not from this show yet. But I think when I go back to
coming.
school, I might be like, oh my gosh, like people might say that. But going back to like just quickly, about the set, it's like, there's so many little details. Like in the jail, there's a wanted poster for like there's wanted posters, and like the little details really count and make it blossom.
Isn't that something? And it's almost like they make it their own playground, right? Like, you even wonder how much of that even shows on the screen, because from a distance it just looked like a piece of paper. But for you guys, it probably just really, you throw the outfit on, you're kind of almost like halfay there, right?
Yeah, it feels real. It feels like authentic.
Right. And then, so you want to, because I heard you talking that you like horses. Like, if I come find you in 20 years or something, are you still in this business? Are you still in the...
I definitely want to be an actor.
All right.
Because I want to make people like happy. I want people to see like shows and be entertained and be happy.
That is the coolest answer, right? Like, to affect people. Not, I want to be famous or whatever. I want to affect people. Some guy comes, hard day's work, and you're like, you know what, lay back, I'm going to entertain you, we're going to make you happy. That's cool. Well, hey, thanks so much for being on the program, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you, and you are going to get recognized, and we'll look forward to seeing where you go from here. I think it's great things in store for you. Thanks again, buddy.
Thank you. It was awesome.
Yeah, you too. So when you're going to talk about When Calls to Heart institutions, we have to talk about the Coopers. And we have not just one, we have two. A few weeks ago, you saw my interview with Ava Grace Cooper. Today, I interview her brother, Christian Michael Cooper, who we also definitely watched grow up and acquire, my opinion, one of the cooler voices you're ever going to hear. Let's take a look. Christian, excited to have you with us today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
The one thing everybody's going to have talked to a number of the kids, because it's got to feel a little bit interesting. Like, even when I go through my own photo album and I see how young I used to look, but it's like you're haunted by it every season. You're seeing like, wow, man.
No, I know.
Right. It's just like, your growth is in real time.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially when you look my name up on the internet. It's all old photos of me being like super young, so it's just weird to look back, even at the old seasons, just seeing how young I was when I started. But
Well, how old were you when you started?
I don't know. I think it was probably about 8, maybe.
You were about 8.
Yeah, I think so.
So your sister started first.
One season before me.
One season before you. It was a family business.
Yeah, something like that.
So how did that work out? Did you go? Were you like? Was it like your mom was? You're with it. Like I'll give you an example. Okay, hardly anybody knows this. My sister took ballet, so to go I just had to keep going there to wait for her. My mom's like, you don't have to be here. You can take dancing if you want. So I ended up doing it. So I actually took ballet 3 years.
That's cool.
Hey, thanks, man. I like you a lot. Yeah, I used to be a good tap dancer too. But it was because I was is that kind of the same thing with you? It's like you're going and.
Well, actually, I played. I've been acting since I was really, really little, and I auditioned for Carter's role first. So I would have been in the first season. I've gotten that, and then a couple years went by, or like 2 seasons went by. Ava got the role, and then the season after that, they called me in to play Timmy. And then here we are.
And then here we are, going on. Wow. So what is it like? First of all, what's it like working with your sister? Or do you guys even work that many scenes together?
Well, honestly, every day I'm on set, she's on set. So first of all, it makes it a lot easier on my mom.
Right, sure.
And yeah, honestly, it just makes it's smooth with my sister. It's not anything, we get along. So,
I just interviewed her too.
Yeah.
And you guys are fairly close in age, right?
Yeah, like 3 years apart.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. My sons are the same way.
Yeah.
And they're real close. 3 years. It's about right.
Yeah.
So I know she was talking about being a veterinarian later, or maybe a nurse. Do you have aspirations to stay in acting, or would you like to do something different?
Yeah, I would love to stay in acting. I still want to pursue other things, but I definitely want to keep acting because with how the whole thing goes, like you're not always working, right? So it's a bit of a flexible schedule unless you make it big, like John Travolta or something like that, and you're working all the time and making the big bucks. But outside of that, I want to have some options. But yeah, as of now, I'm happy with acting.
Right. Well, I'd say that John Travolta can step aside. I think you're on your way, buddy.
Yeah.
I think there's good things coming. What would be the other aspirations you'd want to do? What could?
Well, honestly, right now, like my plan is probably go to trade school, get my red seal, and maybe join the fire hall after to be a fireman.
Oh wow. Cool.
Because that's just something I've like. First of all, I would never be able to work in an office, so that's why I do something that I'm like outside, doing something different every day.
Right.
Helping people is obviously like a great feeling. I mean, It's not saying being a fireman's easy at all because there's a lot that comes with that, but
that's for sure.
Yeah, something like that.
No, that's a noble prospect, especially for the reasons you just outlined, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like you really like Dalmatians or something. Yeah,
oh,
right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, to go be a fireman. So because that's a Canadian, like getting the red seal, is that a?
It's like your just ticket. So if you go to trade school and get your red seal, that means you have pretty much your ticket to go work. And yeah, that's after 4 years of going to school. So
wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, here we are. I'm talking to season 11.
Yeah.
Right. So your character. I mean, this you're old enough as you are now. I mean, things you have. What would you like to see? What's the future of Timmy? What would you like to see where Timmy can go?
I'd really like to see Timmy's character develop into something maybe different because I don't know how many more years I have left in the schoolhouse.
Right.
I've had some of my friends graduate. So yeah, just seeing my character develop into a more mature role, maybe doing something around the town or whatever that might be. But yeah, just I feel like it goes for the same with a lot of the other casts, just having their characters start to mature and then builds more storylines onto that, and then just it's totally different. But that's what I'd hope to see.
Well, I have an idea for Timmy.
Yeah,
just throwing it out there. You can tell me if you'll back me up. I think Timmy is the first fireman to find his way to Hope Valley and invents mountain biking.
Yeah, no, that'd be pretty wicked. That'd be pretty wicked.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd get paid for this. I know there's a WGA strike. There might be an opportunity here. Yeah. Not sure. So what do you, because I know you said you do mountain bike, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm so curious about that. Because, when you say sports, I'm ready for basketball, I'm ready for anything. But like mountain biking, because, you watch those GoPro YouTube things, some of that looks a little terrifying. Is that the kind of mountain biking you're doing? The ones who are like, I'm going to die if I miss it by a millimeter? Or is it just like...
I feel like there's a huge scale of what you can do. Like you can go, do trail riding, and I mean, especially in Vancouver, it's huge. Anything that has to do anything with the mountains, it's massive here. So you can really just like the world's your oyster when it comes to that, I guess. You can go as easy or as hard as you want to go.
How hard do you want to go? What's your oyster here?
Do
you do that crazy stuff? I'm getting a
not,
bad feeling
I'm not
here.
getting sponsored by Red Bull crazy, but I think like the adrenaline rush is definitely what draws me to it. I think that's with most sports. And
I've come to like you, dude. I don't want to see like
no,
because some of that stuff. It seems like there's two categories: Grandmaster Champion, or stuff on a rock.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I don't want you doing that. Like bring it down a couple levels.
You're saying something about basketball and that. I mean, I've been playing soccer my whole life, but I feel like I've always had like a draw to like individual sports and stuff like that. Not really sure why, because everyone always talks about being teammates and like that whole thing. But personally, I just found like individual sports have been my thing.
Right.
I like being in my own zone and not having to rely on other people. So
no, I get that.
Yeah,
I get that. So what other individual sports outside of mountain biking?
Skiing. Skiing a lot. I mean, that's the only thing that I could really say about individual sports. I mean, there's stuff like going to the gym. I just started rock climbing, which is cool.
Yeah.
Individual sport. So, yeah.
So rock climbing could come in handy, like flat tire, or something like that.
Yeah,
you're up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually a very excellent skier. I've just never done it. So, but in my brain, I can do flips.
Hey,
I'm amazing over burning buses. Do you do that?
Not yet.
In my mind,
you just gave me an idea. I might have to try this winter. Winter's coming up.
Winter's coming up. Little gas bus.
Yeah.
You're on your way. It feel like mountain biking, just safer. Yeah. So, do you ever do like any like track or anything like that? Like individual sports, right?
Well, I mean, I did in elementary school, but I haven't really done anything like that. I've been so involved with soccer and stuff, I haven't really had time to try any other stuff like that. But yeah, that's definitely something that I have a lot of respect for, because being able to run that far is not easy.
Right.
But
no, yeah, I was a terrible runner. So I used to throw up every time. You didn't want to run behind me, but I tried hard. Yeah. So when you guys all get together, because you got the kids over here, I just feel like this would be the funnest place to be outside of the obvious fact of acting and the food and just the imagination of it. But you guys seem pretty close. I mean, you guys all seem like you get along
honestly,
really well.
It's family to us. I mean, I've known them like pretty much my whole life, right? So so it's just like, not only have we grown up on the set, but we've grown up together. Like every year we've seen each other. Work together and just grown up together. So it honestly just feels like family.
Yeah, I really get that. That's got to be a little bit hard almost, in a way, where you've got like that shot or whatever, and you realize our guys are having so much fun and everybody's okay, be quiet, or whatever.
Yeah, no, it is hard sometimes.
Yeah, to get together. I would think that would be a lot of fun. What do you guys do during the downtime? Is it like, do you go play games and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, Jada gets us playing a lot of board games, that's for sure, and card games. So a lot of that. When we're on set, I mean, like Grayson was saying, outside of set, when we get together, we watch, the episode if one's coming out, and we just hang out. But lots of card games. Yeah.
I keep hearing that Jada kind of makes things happen.
That's for sure.
Yeah, she's a force.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she kind of said so. I said I almost was curious to get what all the kids would say on this, but to do like a raffle, to raise money for charity, go bowling with Jada, go bowling with Jada's family.
Yeah.
Because her mom was a character too.
Yeah, no.
In fact, you know what? I take it back. I want bowling with all of you. Yeah. And your families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that'd be fun.
I think I would bid on that. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, thanks so much for being on the program, bro. I'm going to look forward to seeing where you go from here. Stay safe.
Nice.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
And that concludes this hat trick episode of the Edify Show. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks to Christian, Billy, and Loretta for being part of the program. And we'll see you guys next time right here on the Edify Show.
Tune in next week for Hearties TV Tuesday. Elliott will be interviewing Jacob Shumay and Jada Lily Miller on the set of Wind Calls the Heart. Don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube page. And never miss a thing when you register at hearties.com, where people around the world are coming together to support inspiring entertainment. And we'll see you next week on The Edify Show.